Hey, this is Matt once again. We're back to another video, and this is a paid request from Michael. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, whether it be a topic, reaction, commentary, review, re-review, random thoughts, video game playthroughs, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it. I'll get to it as soon as I can. Links are down below in the info box. And Michael wanted me to talk about A Face in the Crowd, a 1957 film that, to be honest, I had never heard of, but it's from a director who did On the Waterfront and A Streetcar Named Desire, both with Marlon Brando. He did East to Eden with James Dean. Did a lot of notable films. And the thing with this is, it's the film debut of Andy Griffith. Yes, from later the Andy Griffith Show and Matlock, among other stuff. Here playing a very, it's his first film role, but very different type of performance. And actually, let me see, when was... Oh, yeah, I just wanted to make sure. So yeah, he did get 1960 is when he got the TV show. So this is before that. But yeah, very, like, the Southern twang, loud, combustible, fiery, plays the guitar, great personality on TV, but in reality, he doesn't really care about his fellow man, just cares about himself and where he could get through in life and how he could get better and better, and he loves the power, especially, and the fame, and they're eating out the palm of my hand, and very explosive debut for this guy. And you see this kind of performance, it's so different from the sweet-natured, vibe he gave on that TV show just a few years after this. The film also has Walter Matthau, actress named Patricia Neal. And the story of the film is Patricia is this lady named Miss Jeffries, who's a radio journalist, who's doing the story out of jail, trying to find some kind of hook. And there's this guy, nicknamed Lonesome Rhodes, played by Andy Griffith, who's there in jail for being drunk and disorderly. And he's very, like I said, very fiery personality. Oh, leave me alone, all this stuff. Oh, okay, you want me to talk to you? I'll talk to you. Give me a chance to lubricate my Adam's apple. It takes a bit old drink. And as soon as he talks on the radio, he's very verbose. He's very charismatic. The people who listen to him are hooked, and he knows how to play to the audience. He's nice talking to the ladies out there, and tells about how, man, you guys pour your hearts out slaving on that stove, and you're not appreciated, and the women start liking him. They're giving him pies, and it leads him to get a chance to be on a radio station, and it just builds and builds, and more people start listening to him because he's willing to be blunt and honest and charismatic, and makes fun of the candidates for mayor. One of them sends a bunch of kids to his pool on a hot day. Another, lot of dogs are put onto this guy's property. He gets so popular that another organization wants him on TV around in Memphis. And he's like, you want this kisser on your TV? You're a brave man. And Miss Jeffries is along for the ride, and you get a sense that she kind of likes him, and maybe a bit of sparks will fly, but Andy Griffith's character, you tell he might care for her, but he cares more for the power of the fame and is just hungry for it. And doesn't care who he steps on to get his way. And part of the entertainment for me was, again, I had grown up watching bits and pieces of the Andy Griffith Show. And, I had seen bits and pieces of Matlock as well. Not full episodes, but little bits here and there. So seeing him and playing such a different type of role, that was a good chunk of the fun. And again, he just had a great, fiery spirited performance. The southern twang, the certain phrases he would use. You could kind of see why people got in the world this film takes place in, how they kind of sparked up to him. Especially in this day and age where people were a little bit more naive on who they listen to. I mean, nowadays maybe people will see a bit more through it, but back then I would think even less so. And they would get sponsors, and he's making fun of the sponsors. Like, there's a mattress sponsor. If I fall through, what? Do I sleep on the floor? Well, I've slept on the floor before. He's making fun of these commercial reads. So they get dropped, but yet the people, and Andy's character gets fired, but then people protest and they burn their mattresses, and then someone comes in, man, we're selling even more mattresses in a weird way. And the character Lonesome Rose is screaming and yelling, I'll move your merchandise, I'll do whatever you want, and he gets more sponsors. Including this, one of my favorite bits, there's one called Vita Jets. And it shows like these different types of commercials and the way they're doing it, where it's very, I mean, this is 1957, it's very, I don't know how to put it. Like the tagline is, fill me full of, ooh, ecstasy. And there's like a pig that takes it, then becomes like a cartoon wolf, and picks up a lady, walks away. I'm like, is this Viagra? They're selling, it's supposed to be vitamins, but it looks like Viagra or something. I don't know, I thought it was very unique the way they were detailing just how risque these commercials were, and kind of a bit surprising, but yet kind of ahead of its time, because you see a lot more of that type of stuff later on in years. So it's a bit unique to see this done in 1957. And then Miss Jeffries is seeing a bit more of the facade that Andy Griffith is showcasing, where the tracks are starting to crumble, at least how she looks at this guy, where he says he'll do this and this for her, but at the same time, he's supposedly still married, even though he says, oh, I don't see her much, and we got it taken care of in Mexico, but then something happened. And this is even more Stevie. Part of the promotion, part of the success is going to this place where there's a lot of these ladies twirling their batons and like these parades and stuff, and some of them are 17 years old, and one thing leads to another, and he marries a 17-year-old. Now, in Mexico, now right then and there, you kind of think, okay, well, this guy's a pedo. I mean, he's under 18, but hell, back in 1957, they don't even know the word, and there's a lot of like musicians and stuff that, if you looked into it a bit more, seemed like they married people who were a bit young, and I don't know if just people were naive, maybe giving them the benefit of the doubt, or just people were more Stevie, I don't know. But it seemed like people were less harsh on that stuff compared to today. And they seem like some people were, I guess, in the South, a bit more willing to do that, or if people were just willing to look the other way. Even in this film, it's less about, oh, he married a 17-year-old, and they make it more about, well, we thought he was with Miss Jeffries, but instead he's with this other girl. And I'm thinking, I'm more aghast that it's a 17-year-old he married. So you tell like the different mindset of then versus now. I did now it'd be like, he married a 17-year-old. He's done. Back then it's like, oh no, he's screwing over Miss Jeffries. Poor lady. Well, I mean, if a guy wants a 17-year-old, then you don't want to be near that person anyway. Now, so the There's some really good performances. I like Walter Matthau. He's a writer. He was a writer on the radio show, then a bit on the TV. I think more so on the TV stuff. Although Andy Griffith doesn't use most of what Walter Matthau writes. I wish he was in it more, Walter Matthau. Because it's Walter Matthau. I mean, The Odd Couple, much later on Grumpy Old Men, Dennis the Menace. Just a great actor. And the Take a Pill 1, 2, 3 is wonderful in that. And I thought he was very underused. He only pops up every once in a while. I will be honest, part of me wished it was more from his point of view than Patrice Neal's point of view. Now, Patrice Neal, she does fine. But just me being selfish and greedy, I wished it was more into Walter Matthau's point of view. Or maybe it starts with her point of view, but then it shifts to Walter's point of view. I think maybe Patrice, you could have it from her point of view in the first half, in The Rise, and now she's kind of taken a bit like the rest. But in the second half should have been Walter Matthau. He sees through it. He sees much more through the facade. And he's trying to get Patricia Neal, Patricia Neal, trying to get her to see it, and she's seen a bit more and more, and then see from his point of view. You know, one of the few that isn't taken in by the charm of Andy Griffith's character. Like I said, so I wish Walter Matthau was in it a lot more. That's one of the few things I could complain about the film. And there's some good lines, like talking about the ratings and what they mean. Some call it a Bible, but it's really a death warrant with decimal points. I like that line. And really just Andy Griffith getting more power, more fame, becoming much more of an influencer. Which this is very much appropriate in today's age. How someone can influence people. Well, just depending on who you are. Because if you're a celebrity trying to push people who to vote, which is like, who gives a crap? Try to entertain us first. How about that? It's not working as much, is it? Avengers cast. Bit surprised. Marvel has been good for years. Why should we listen to you about other stuff? But I mean, depending on which person, on influencers, social influencers, Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, whatever the case may be, you know, this biz still could be fairly appropriate in today's age. And now that this guy's getting more into politics, and the senator, like a group wants the senator to be pushed, and Andy's like, okay, yeah, I'll push him. I'll push you, senator. My flock of sheep, I got a thing for them. And if I get you on the air, they'll listen to whatever I say. And pretty much Patricia Neal's character sees this is much more toxic than it should. But yeah, I think the performances is what really makes it work. Especially if you want to see Andy Griffith in a role you've never seen him in before, this is definitely worth a look for that. And that's what kept me intrigued throughout the whole film. Trying to think. Sometime with Patricia Neal's character, there's certain times that she has a certain reaction, and I'm like, should you have that reaction at that point? Where it seems like she's finally figuring out that this guy's not the best guy. I guess, even with the help of Walter Matthau's character, I wish there was a bit more of her realizing things are not on the up and up. I don't know how to put it. Just something about it I wanted a bit more. I don't know how else to word it. That's just the feeling I kept thinking. I can't really word it in a better way. Because again, the spoilers. He's doing a show. She unhooks some stuff. So the crowd hears him making fun of them, calling them morons, all that stuff. Then immediately things go downhill for him. People don't want to return his phone calls. And he's kind of on a drunken binge. And says, I just got to get on camera one more time and things will change. And this is why I wanted Walter Matthau in the movie more. Because my true favorite scene, I like the Vita Jess commercial. Just the way the collage of commercials. That was interesting of how they try to sell a product and again how risque it was for back then. But Walter Matthau finally did his time to show what he could do, and it's the final scene pretty much. Spoilers. Andy's starting to talk and Walter Matthau stops him and says, I know exactly what's going to happen to you. About how you'll have a show sometime, just won't be quite the same, and yes, some will forget, but some won't, and won't be as successful as it used to be. Maybe it'll be in the top 50, maybe not, and then one day you'll be forgotten, and they'll go, who is that guy that was big for a bit? Oh, wait a minute, here's this new guy. Let's pay attention to him. And let me see if I could get the whole quote, because it's a really good quote that he has in this. Okay, here it is. So Andy says, I'm not through yet, you know what's going to happen to me, and this is what Walter Matthau says. Again, this is why I wish he was in the film a lot more. Suppose I tell you exactly what's going to happen to you. You don't be back in television. Only it won't be quite the same way as it was before. There'll be a reasonable cooling off period, and then somebody will say, why don't we try him again? Inexpensive format. People's memories aren't too long, In a way, he's right. Some of the people forget, but some won't. Well, you have a show. Maybe not the best hour or so, top 10. Maybe not even the top 35, but you'll have a show. Just won't be quite the same as it was before. Then a couple of new films will come along. Pretty soon a lot of your fans will be flocking around them. Then one day they're going to ask, whatever happened to, what's his name? The one that was so big? That #1 fella a couple of years ago? He was famous. How can we forget a name like that? Oh, by the way, have you seen that Barry Mills guy? I think he's the greatest thing since Will Rogers. And then later on, he walks out with Patricia Neal, and she's like, man, I brought him this success and fame, and what was I thinking? And he puts it, we did wise to him. That's our strength. Meaning that these people may seem charming, they may seem like your best friend, but then their true colors will be showcased sooner or later, which is true, like a lot of celebrities. And that's why this is, I thought, an interesting movie to watch, where there's a lot of celebrities that will seem like the best person ever, or they seem like the most charming, or they seem like they care about you, until eventually their true colors are showcased. And then you don't look at them quite the same. Like, I love Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he comes out and is like, screw your freedom. I don't look at him quite the same as I used to. Or before that, when he screwed his maid and cheated on his wife and had a kid with the maid. Don't look at him quite the same as I used to. Maybe it would have been interesting to have a point of view of a fan where we followed from those days to early on, and then maybe it's them kind of seeing where things are going. 'Tis it is mostly from Andy Griffith's point of view, where it's just power and fame, greedy for power. And Patricia Neal, maybe that's the thing. I don't know if she was the strongest eye for the audience, and that's why I said part of me wishes it was Walter Matthau instead. Like Patricia Neal could still be in it, but I I think for the longest time Patricia Neal kind of went along with what was going on. So when she kind of switches near the end, I don't know if I 100% bought it, but like Walter Matthau, if he did it with the